want to turn right now to my guest on the phone line with MLB Network, which is going to televise two exclusive divisional series games in the American League telecast this week. And you can watch MLB Tonight before and after every postseason game. John Smoltz back here on The Rich Eisen Show. How are you, John?
I'm doing good. I'm a little, well, you spoke of the season not going right. I'm about to watch a team go 0-4, and I hope I'm wrong. But my beloved Lions are taking on Seattle, and I'm a wreck, to be honest with you.
I don't know what it is with them, John, because they would be the only team in the NFL to have no wins through the first quarter part of the season. And there's Calvin Johnson. Amir Abdullah looked so good as a rookie, and Matthew Stafford's supposed to have the proper offense in front of him, and defensively they can't do anything either. I don't know what's going on, John.
Well, it was a tough schedule. I was hoping they could go 2-2. I mean, they had to open up, on some tough places and obviously play. They could have won at home against Denver, but man, when I'm 0 in both my fantasy leagues, and that's because I got Lions. I want those guys to do well. So, anyways, it's the fate of growing up in Detroit.
I hear you. John Smoltz joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. I don't know where to start. Let's start with the news of the day, I guess, and your thoughts on Matt Williams getting fired by the Washington Nationals today, John.
Well, as I have evolved in baseball, there's so many components that change, not only from a player's responsibility, roles, and what he gets to do or don't get to do, to the manager's responsibilities and roles. They've expanded far beyond what I think people sometimes understand. And Matt Williams taking this job, I'm sure, based on his pedigree, was going to look at his guys and 25 guys and hope that they had similar stuff to what he had in the locker room growing up when he did, and it didn't exactly work out that way. There's something in that locker room, and I've not been in there, and I don't have anybody on the inside that has told me stuff that just hasn't clicked. Now, they've had a ton of injuries, and it is what have you done for me lately, and Matt fell victim to, I think, both the media world and what is micromanaged every single day and having to deal with that, and then not to mention the CEOs or the guys that have big contracts or playing for big contracts, and certainly the team concept did not seem to work out for the Washington Nationals. And maybe, just maybe, we, and now I include myself, overanalyzed what they were capable of doing on paper by thinking they would win 100 just by marching out those 5 starters. It didn't work. I feel bad for Matt Williams, and I don't know who is the next right guy for that situation with the changing parts that may or may not take place in that locker room.
Now, Papelbon's got $11 million for next year already on the hook, John. If you were running that team or the new manager coming in, based on what happened in that dugout last week with Bryce Harper and him perhaps being the MVP of the NL when it's all said and done, do you keep Papelbon or do you just cut him, John?
Well, that's the interesting thing, because I don't know how much a manager has the reins to do certain things, whether it's a general manager's power or even sometimes the agent's power. I would have the luxury, hopefully, to sit certain guys down and go, where are we? What do we need? How can I get you to get on the same page? What are we going to do? I would have and hope to sit down with some of my stars and go, this is the page I'm thinking. Are we on the same page? And if I had that luxury, then yes, I would keep him, because the opportunity for him to be successful and us be successful means they don't have to love each other or even like each other. They just have to be on the same page. And if that's not the case, then no, you find a way. And in much cases, you've seen what the Angels did with Hamilton and their decision. They're paying him, and that guy's on another team while they're sitting at home, and he's playing. So this world's a different world that we live in, and you have to be able to adapt and make sure that everyone is at least moving in the same direction.
First ballot Hall of Famer John Smoltz joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And before we move on to the playoffs, the fact that CC Sabathia will not be performing for the Yankees in the playoffs, however long it goes, because he just checked into alcohol rehab to say, as he said, to become a better person, father, and husband. What do you think first blush when you hear that, John?
My heart sinks because I care about the individual, and hopefully this is a likable guy, and it's a big figure in New York, and hopefully sports will be separated from this, because the first thing most people think is, why couldn't he have waited? Or what you try to isolate life and make it become sports, and it's not two in the same. So he's doing what he feels, and at least somebody feels that is going to be the best for him in the future, and he's sacrificing some things that, in the scale of things, are a little less important, although be it at the timing of it seems really, really difficult. So I hope that he gets absolutely everything he needs and that this too will be behind him in some time and fashion, and that whatever led up to this, there was a reason for it. And as players and teammates, you care about persons like this, and you play your heart out for them.
John Smoltz joining me here on the program. And the Yankees take on the Astros tomorrow in Yankee Stadium. It's going to be Tanaka for the Yankees and Keuchel for Houston on 3 days rest. What is the largest pitfall of starting in the postseason on 3 days rest, John? Because this is a conversation we're going to have not just now, but for the rest of the playoffs, certainly with Greinke and Kershaw. We're all assuming they're going to have to do that in the divisional series should it go longer than 3 games. What is the biggest pitfall of starting on short rest in a playoffs, John?
Just mental. Just dealing with all the questions, the thereabouts, and the lack of structure. You change everything up. Well, most people don't understand, when you pitch once every 5 days, your percentage of having your best stuff and feeling the best might not even be 50-50. It might be on the 4th day you feel the best, and on the 6th day sometimes in some cases. So this is just more mental than anything else. Everyone's got to do something for the first time, and this is the first time he's been in the postseason. So even if he was pitching on regular rest, the postseason experience might be something that we would be talking about. But I think this guy, with the stuff he has, the sinker, being maybe even a little fatigued might help his sinker. But I think anything that doesn't allow his sinker to flatten or his stuff to be a little less, it's just mental. It really is. Physically, you're able to pitch. You've gotten to this point in the season. We're in such a day and age where every inning seems to be the teeter-totter of the metrics of whether a guy's going to break or not. I hate it for these guys. They have to deal with it constantly, and this is one of those that falls in that category.
If you're Girardi, do you sit Ellsbury or Gardner or even McCann in a game like this against a lefty like Keuchel, John?
No, you really can't, unless it's just so extraordinarily bad, the success of maybe not more than just a sample size. You got to have your weapons out there and be able to utilize those short porch and just what makes you special in that park, and that's your left-handed hitters with the opportunity, although be it we're going to see shift after shift after shift. And if there was ever a surprise and there was ever something you had in your back pocket, now's the time to pull it out and maybe bunt or hit the ball the other way, because this means so much in a one-game playoff that little shift or that little thing you do differently could make a difference, because in the course of 162 games, it's all working towards the run prevention of a hitter just hitting into the shift. But, man, would it make my day if somebody just went against the grain and laid down a bunt and got that runner on that created that rally, and then we would talk about why that was a great move.
And then Arrieta versus Cole. What a game between two teams, just a spectacular regular season. So many people think the Pirates are, if it all is said and done, if you just had to choose one team that's the best, quote unquote, in the entire Major League Baseball community, would say it's the Pirates. How do you think this thing goes down between these two NL Central teams in that wild
first
card?
And foremost, two great stories going for organizations, especially the Cubs. It's a shame that one of them is going to get eliminated. 3 best records in the National League, 3 best records in baseball, and it just so happens to be bad timing where they're going to have to eliminate each other and then have to go through their division foe. In the St. Louis Cardinals, used to be a time and day and age where the wild card team, although be it one of them couldn't play in the same division, had to go outside of it. But I hope something changes from this day forward and we find a different creative way. But having said that, and you asking the question, I think Pittsburgh has to find a way, scratch, crawl, do whatever. They have a team, as do the Cubs, but I think the Pirates are in a little bit better situation depth-wise to make a longer run. The Cubs have the 2 unbelievable hot pitchers in the front of the rotation, probably one that's going to win the Cy Young in our Arrieta. But what a battle this is going to be, and what a nightmare for managers to manage just one game, because you would typically leave your starter in longer in a regular season game to work through a kink or two. Now you're going to be pressed to have to make moves, pinch hit, score that one run that's going to make a difference. I would look for bunts. I'd look for a lot of strategy to find a way to scratch a run if you're both teams.
And Arrieta's numbers, John, are off the charts. They're unprecedented. Now, you had a front row seat to see Maddox and Glavine, and you've seen some greats in your time, including yourself. I'll throw you in there because I know you're a humble guy. But is this the best you've ever seen a a pitcher pitch in the second half of a season or
Yeah,
over
it's really
entirety, John?
incredible. I mean, I don't remember. I mean, Pedro Martinez has had incredible stretches. Greg Maddux throughout the whole year. But I think here's the difference. When you're taking this kind of run, the difference is you've got one hiccup that you can't afford to have. Now, if this was game one of a series and you're Arrieta and you happen to lose, no big deal. I mean, you know you're going to win the next game. That's the beauty of being as good as you can be. But in this one game, you have to extend your streak, and you have to use that leverage against a team that shows that they're going to find a way to scratch. And, you know, the only thing I can think of is just when you're on top of the world and everyone expects you to continuously to win, it's not that easy, especially in the postseason. So I wish it was game one of a best-of-5 that he was pitching instead of this one game, although it's great for TV. You just have to extend that. You have to have this feeling that you are on top of your game and nothing is going to interrupt it. And that's what you have to maintain, even though you're wanting to pitch your team well into the playoffs.
John, I appreciate you calling into this show again, and I hope this is the first of many more times that you call in. So we like leaving people in a better spot than we found them. Let me help you. Always separate your fantasy heart with your reality head and heart, too, John. Don't do that
I hear you,
anymore.
And I benched those players for tonight, but I'm hoping the Lions mess up a bunch of Survivor picks.
Okay, I hear you, because it would. I'll tell you that, John. I will tell you that. We'll chat soon, okay, John? Thanks again.
Okay, you got it.
You bet. That's John Smoltz. Again, MLB Network's going to televise 2 exclusive ALDS telecasts coming up this week, and you can watch MLB Tonight before and after every postseason game.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.